we knew. We built a program around that, but that's what it was. It was a projection. And we've done a lot of refining of this program, and we want to continue to refine it. So, as you go through it, we ask that you please give us any feedback along the way about time, effort, experiences, and that kind of thing. Our previous participants came in front of a camera and did a testimonial. That is something that we ask that you be a part of, because nothing proves the worth of something better than somebody who's used it and found work. So, we also ask that you help us recruit. We too have a small marketing budget. So, as you talk to people and they talk about their businesses and problems, you know, by all means refer them to us and let us talk with them and see if this program has value for them. If you know of people who have expertise, we're always looking for experts. We're always looking for coaches. So, are we ready to kind of go into the meat of the program?
Well, you can start.
Okay. So, why are we doing this program we're doing today? How many of you have ever heard the term elevator pitch? Okay. Well, as is not too uncommon, those were the buzzwords for a while. That, in a lot of ways, was geared more towards investors and that kind of thing. We are moving now into value proposition. Why do you want to know about a value proposition? What do you think a value proposition is? This is interactive, so we need people to speak up. If somebody asks you to give them a 2 to 3 minute rundown on why they would want to buy from you, what you've got that is of value to them, could you do it?
We should be able to, because it's going to set you apart from whether that person, if that person is looking for a business like yours, it will give that person an insight into what you can do and how great you can do it to enhance his business.
Precisely. And you know, a lot of the times when people start their business, they may do a little customer research. To my mind, not too many of the startups that I've worked with before they got to me had done enough. Because it's one thing to know who, but you want to know everything about them. When they buy it, where they buy it, why they buy it. What is it that they value? Who else is trying to sell it to them? And specifically, how many of them are there? You know, we were talking the other day about market niches, or niche, if you want to be. And it came around to people who have very small shoe sizes. And I could relate to that because my grandmother had a 5 Queen foot. Her foot was about this long and about this wide. And she lived in Starkville. Well, she couldn't find shoes. No shoe store is going to want to have to carry a variety of shoes for her to have a choice. That she's the only one they can sell to. So, yes, there was an issue there. There was an unmet need. Unfortunately, she and maybe 2 other little ladies were the only market there. So how many has a lot to do with how well. So we started thinking about, if you're going to have a good marketing strategy, we want to start with going back and getting you to develop a good value proposition. There may be a big difference between what you think it is and what your customer thinks it is you may be selling one thing, and they may be buying something totally different. So that's why we're starting with the value proposition. Okay, now I'm going to turn it over, and you're going to get to hear that wonderful accent of Pauline's. Now, this is interactive. You're going to get work to do and worksheets as we go along. So, Pauline.
Okay, would you like to take one and pass them along?
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to be the amen corner.
So, what we'd like you to do first is just to have a go at answering the first 6 questions there. Take some time to do that. And then we'll discuss, we'll look at your customers and what you've got to sell, and we'll see if your opinions change after what you've originally written. Gosh, English is defeating me today. So if you'd like to take a few minutes just to look over those and jot down some ideas.
What of this is that we're going to start with where you are now. And then we're going to give you some ideas. You work with your coaches with developing your values. And then there'll be a prize for the best value proposition.
This is the highly entertaining section.
How far do you go?
Up to question 6.
And advertising are not the same. Marketing is an all-encompassing term that includes advertising, it includes promotion, it includes image, it includes branding, it includes customer service. So that's why you need a marketing strategy, is what all are you going to do under the various ways to do it, to be able to satisfy your customer, to meet their expectations so that they will purchase from you. If one of your value propositions is customer service, then part of your marketing strategy is going to need to include what do you do and your employees do and anybody else that has contact with your customer to provide good customer service. If you claim that you are high-tech and you've got a logo or a brand that looks like something that was designed in 1950, then you've got a mismatch. So that's why we always want to think in terms of this marketing strategy as an all-encompassing means to bring a unified image. Now, what you wrote down as to who you think your customer is, where did you get this information? Cindy?
Where did I get
Yeah, where did you come upon your belief in what you wrote down?
A lot of experience, really, just from providing the product to people. And it having been sold in a salon, you see a variety of people, from cancer patients to just people who are thinning, balding. So I think it's experience and, well, experiencing myself, kind of knowing what I needed when I was losing my
You got
own.
a good bit of anecdotal.
A lot. In fact, that is my business, actually. Yeah.
That has basis in fact, and that's a good thing to build on. Yes, ma'am.
Well, my product is a child's toy, so I will be appealing to gift buyers for any special occasion, particularly for girls. I listed also. I think my market would be mothers, grandmothers, anyone buying a child for a gift or for a special occasion, and also children that might walk in and see it, and it needs to appeal to children. It needs to appeal to, also because it's about a ballerina, it has a dance market aspect to it, and I've talked to several people about attending a dance market, where they sell things for dancers. And then also it's a inspirational Christian, so I have a Christian market. I have lots of markets to explore. And then also there's the art aspect of it, because it's a picture book, so it has lots of crossover.
So we will be working, and your coaches will be working with you and looking at the industries you mentioned and trying to attach numbers to those and help you get a
And
revenue.
what the best way to reach those markets.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
So, those of you who have businesses up and running already, when you started that business, you had a customer in mind, you had a target customer, but your product might have changed, or your service might have expanded, so your customer base has changed. So that's what we're trying to get you to focus in on now, is to adapt to meet your customers' needs and find out how they value your product and your service, because it might be completely different to what you think. Also, let's see, we need to look at what you're selling. Again, what you originally started out selling might have changed. As I said, your service might have expanded, or your product might have improved, and we need to look at adapting your marketing strategy to incorporate that and to reach your new customer base. We also need to decide what constitutes value. What characteristics does your product have that would offer value to the customer? Can anybody give me an example?
Well, when I first went into business, it was a process that needed attention in the way that I needed to identify the customer that I wanted to sell to. And after I identified the customer I wanted to sell to, I had to market myself in a way by setting up appointments to go see the people that would buy my product. I'm gonna give you, for instance, Mr. Cole was the small business contracting officer at Columbus Air Force Base. Well, after I identified him, what I did, I put a portfolio together, and then I called and asked to set up an appointment at his convenience when that I could come talk to him and market myself. Let him see who I am. Let him see how confident I am in my product. Let him see some of the people that I have worked for, and then have a bio of that contract, the work that I've done, so that he could go back and say, okay, I can call this person or this military institution and find out how good your product was. And then give him a value. Say, we know that there's shrinking finances. We can do this job for you at a very value-added price. Because even though it was a military unit, they still looking for value. But they want a very fine product.
So you could offer a competitive price with value added, and that they're getting more bang for their bucks.
Yes.
Excellent.
I think you just mentioned why looking at your customer base and re-examining it is an ongoing process.
Yes.
Is because you mentioned the fact that your customer now has different needs, different expectations than maybe when you first dealt with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good example about why to do what we're doing.
Any other values, customer values?
I don't, I'm still on the ground floor. I haven't got where I need to be, but I believe that the product that I have, a bath safety shower line, that is, I believe that is very valuable, and I believe from my experience coming through years, the ups and the flaws that I had, I've learned that if I don't have the confidence in my business, in my product, then others will not have it. And so I value myself real high on my product, that it's the workable product, and I believe that hygiene and cleanness will never change. I believe that the consumer's gonna always, the customer's gonna always be careful in particular about cleanness, hygiene, anywhere in the world, even with the experience in Louisiana when the hurricane came through. There were many of my friends that lived there, that was pastors, and I talked with them, and they was just discussing about how sad it was to see people had bathing and half of them could not bathe because of the uncleanness of the faculties and what was going on there. And so it gave me a new high to realize that there is a need. But I think she was saying earlier that it's just like the light under the bushel. If don't nobody ever know you have it, they will never know the value of it, or they will never use it if they don't know you got it. So my thing is that we have to get out there and let people know what we got. If we have to even market ourselves. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. That's what I feel like I need to do, and that's probably what I'm gonna do, because I believe that if I push it to the limit, pretty soon somebody gonna listen, somebody gonna catch on. And so I just believe that people will value your product if you do.
So you're offering your clients peace of mind that they will be more hygienic.
Right, the comfort
Yeah.
of knowing that you can go anywhere in the world and take a bath and do it with confidence and enjoy it, not knowing who you bathe behind. My wife we used to travel out to pastor. I've been all over the country, and she used to always take pine sol and different stuff like that and clean out the bathroom. After maids had done it, she'll do it again. And I used to tell her all the time, why don't you just, when you get here to the hotel, just ask them for a job? You know? And so it was just something that clinged to my mind, that we really, that even my children, when we go out and play, the baby behind other kids, daycares and stuff, they clean them up, and parents are more cautious now than they ever been.
And it's a new product as well.
Yes.
It's something that's never been seen before.
Never been seen before.
So you're offering an invention
Yes,
and peace of mind.
right, exactly.
So there's two good values to
You
sell to
have
your
to,
customer.
there's have been a saying that the customer is always right. You have to work with that customer, because that customer may have an idea in their mind what they want. And then you help them present themselves as right, because what they might ask for might not be practical with the money that they have and what the idea that they want. But if you cultivate that customer will eventually be right in their eyesight, and that will get you more exposure by them telling another friend or telling another potential customer how good you work with them.
And they might think they want one thing, but in actual fact, you can point out, this is a better solution.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you listen to these stories and as you build your marketing strategy, we hope that you're going to go back and look at features, benefits. Features and benefits, not the same thing. The feature of his product is that it's plastic, it has a lining that can be used inexpensively. But what's a benefit? He mentioned the benefit from his wife's point of view. What's in it for me? Peace of mind, knowledge that she has clean surroundings. So that's got to be a part of your value, is looking at what are the features of what you do, but the benefits, those may be less tangible.
Any more examples? I have a list of 10 things here, so we can go all day. How about performance? That's a straightforward one. It's bigger, faster, better than the next product. Customization. You might, as you were saying, customize your product specifically to that client. So the client's benefit is that it is specifically for them. Like a software engineer, they create software specifically for the client. Gets the job done. That could be another thing for you. Gets the job done. Does what it says on the can. It keeps you clean, gives you peace of mind. Anything else? I'm not going to go through the list. I'm going to let you work. Think about a convenience store. What makes it convenient?
It's in the neighborhood. It has those quick items that you want to run pick up without having to wait in a long line at a high volume store where you might have the 5 minutes. You need to use that 5 minutes. You need to go. The drive is 2 minutes. You pick up the product and you're back home in the 5 minutes you need. Instead of having to go around to a big brick and mortar place and have to hunt all over the store for that product.
Ease of access as well. Ease of access.
I think so. I think that's good. But my wife always said convenient but expensive.
Yes.
You know, and so
There's
that's
usually
why here's a
downside.
convenience store. You know, you go buy go to Walmart, get you a jug of milk. It's about maybe $3 something. Go to the convenience store, it's $4.
Yeah.
So it's convenient but expensive. So.
But they don't advertise the fact they're expensive. They advertise the fact they're convenient. So that's how you need to look at it. You might
But
be more expensive.
they have very different value propositions.
Yeah.
You know, they are selling different things. Maybe the same jug of milk, but they're selling your time in one case, they're selling price in another.
Reducing costs. You might be able to reduce your customers' cost. Like if you're an electric company, come to us, we'll save you money, that kind of thing. Insurance companies, reduce your risk. So there's value there for benefit to the customer. And another one that a lot of people forget is a brand or a status, a lifestyle, how it makes you feel up here. And a good quote that Lucy pointed out to me yesterday, you don't need to be unique in the world, just in the customer's mind. The closing sale takes place in the customer's mind, not in the marketplace among the competition. So you just need to appeal to that customer, get everybody else's products out of the way, let them focus in on yours. So we can't forget psychographics. You know what that is? It's a new term. I had to look it up yesterday.
She gonna share that with us.
It's how your product makes the customer feel. It's not the tangible benefits. It's not the technical aspects to your product. It's where it puts the customer in relation to other people.
Keeping up with the Joneses
Yes.
sort of a mindset is, I want status. Status is a psychographic. And it sells a lot of books.
It does. I mean, I was thinking about Nike. Nike, however you want to pronounce it. What do they sell?
Still sports pavilion, shoes, clothing, and I think you are hitting on something there. It's really true. Sometimes you got a customer that has limited resources to build a product, to buy a product. Then you're going to have customers says, money is not the object. What I want is what I want, and you can be able to give them what they want. So you got a twofold thing. If you can give that person that product that has resources are much more, that person will come back to you time and time again, regardless of your price. And then on the other hand, that person that has limited resources, they need that value and they need that price. So you got to be able to give both what they need at the time that they need it,
Yep.
and in the appointed time that they want it.
Yep. So, I mean, looking at Nike, they sell shoes, equipment, clothing, all this stuff. But when was the last time you were aware that Nike's soles were better than Adidas's soles? Or they have more breathable fabric? Or their soccer balls are made of more durable fabric? You're not aware of that. You're aware that if you dress like this soccer player or like that athlete, then you will be able to perform like them.
Just do it.
Just do it. Exactly. You know the slogan.
Precise.
Now, because I've got one of those images in your worksheets, and it's of a soccer player, and he's about to kick a soccer ball, and he's wearing the whole get-up, and it looks expensive. It looks classy. And you think, this is great, you know, I want to be like that. But then Nike realized that a lot of people were like, I'm never going to be like that. I'm not an athlete. Why do I need their products? So they changed their marketing strategy, and if you turn to your workbook pages, there's a whole page with Nike. It's a child running. Now what does it say to you? Keep going. Keep going. It's near the end. There. It says find your greatness. Keep going. So that is their more recent strategy. What does that say to you?
You can do it.
For everybody.
It's for everybody. If you wear their products, you are going to get off the couch and you're going to go running because it'll make you feel good. And it's sold you a lifestyle. It's trying to sell you a lifestyle. You don't have to be a phenomenal athlete to wear their product. You can be anybody.
And they're not going to talk about their good fit. They're not selling that. They're telling you you're going to be great. That they've got a way for you to be great. How many people don't want to be great? You pay pretty handsomely to be great, right? So that's where they have done a careful study of what their customer values.
I remember kids at school when I was growing up being beaten up for their Fila trainers because Fila was the brand to wear. It didn't matter what those trainers did or how they looked, you had to be wearing them. So they were selling a lifestyle choice. Again, let's look at Apple. What does Apple sell? Computers? iPods? iPhones?
iPad.
Anything with an I in front of it? Now, does Apple's desktop computer do the same thing as a Dell desktop computer?
It does it better.
How do we know that?
It's more aesthetically pleasing, because I'm part of that cult. It is a cult. But you start, once you go down that road, I mean, it's so much more enjoyable to look at. It's aesthetically pleasing on every level, and it's seamless to me, whereas a word anything that's not Apple, it always just, it's not, I just like looking at it.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, and I do think, and it never breaks down.
Yeah.
I never get a virus,
So
ever.
it's a quality product, and it sold a cultural lifestyle. I mean, everybody has their eye product now. And what they've done that's so clever is that all their products work together. So, once you get your iMac, you want your MacBook, you want your iPad, you want your iPod because they all share the same information.
That's why they were criticized for that new adapter to the 5 and the new, and I'm sitting there with the same problem.
Yeah.
Like, you almost feel betrayed a little bit. Like,
Yeah,
really?
You do feel betrayed.
But they've gotten away from their value proposition. They've made a mistake and they've strayed.
And have you noticed since Steve Jobs went?
But me, all I wanted a computer to do, I don't care what brand it is, all I wanted to do is what I needed to do, and that's all. Me and it's not joined at the hips, we're not buddies, I just do what I tell you to do, and that's it.
And that's another whole value proposition.
Yeah.
Yep. But then being an Apple person myself, I could argue that Apple does it better. Their software is better. They're cleaner. They don't get as
To
many
each his own.
viruses. But since Apple has progressed and grown in the marketplace so much, it is now becoming a target. Where Windows was a target before,
Right.
Apple is now the target. So, it's being successful has its downsides, and you've got to keep on top of things. So anyway, that was that. Let's have a look at the ads with the boxes, the value, what do they call it? Value proposition and image pages. Just take a few minutes to look over those and jot down your thoughts. What are they trying to sell you? I wish I had a copy. Do I have a copy? Is there a spare one for that?
Value added proposition.
Yeah, the first lot of images. Turn to these pages. I've got boxes next to them. Just jot down your thoughts. What are they trying to sell? What is the value as a customer if I bought this product? Is it a good value proposition or a bad one?
They may not have a good value proposition. That's the whole point of this.
I'm trying to identify the value to the customer in these ads.
How many of you made a study of the Super Bowl ads?
Watch it.
Well, they're all out there now too.
Oh, that one was really controversial with the nerd tech guy and the supermodel kiss. I mean, it really was highly offensive to a lot of people. Where they're actually kissing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the supermodel, and I don't remember what the ad was about.
I think it was GoDaddy website. It was,
Yeah.
it's make your business known on this website because it's tech and beauty go together.
But what they showed, did that make you want to go out and buy their product? So what's the point?
Well, there are a lot of times my mother and I were saying you're watching a commercial, and by the end of it, I'm like,
What was that about?
what are they selling? Because you've gotten lost in the story, and it happens a lot.
Name recognition is an important aspect of sales, but if it can't be connected to a purchase, then in large measure, it's entertainment, not advertising.
In my opinion, the advertisement is to make you think whenever you want something, think about my name first. When I was marketing to Mr. Cole, if a small project come up that was not put in FastBiz out, I wanted him to think about Jimmy first and give me a call. Say, I remember a year or so ago, we were over at, we were here, and there was a small project coming up that was not going to have a chance to be put on FastBiz out. Mr. Cole said, Jimmy, I got something coming up. I wanted him to thank Jimmy. And that's what a lot of companies, when they advertise, they want you to think of their name first.
That's the point, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And if what they put in front of you, they don't think of you in terms of what you do, then you've kind of missed the mark. You've spent time or you've spent money that doesn't result in a sale.
I did so much marketing till now if a large company is gonna bid on something, they'll automatically send me an email or a note saying, we're gonna bid on this project, do you wanna bid with us? Because my name has got out there, and when first thing they think about, let's call Dave Cole and see if they want to bid with us. That's all. That's my marketing strategy. Make them think about me first.
And you now have married your name recognition to your value proposition. Is you are positively thought of, you have a good value proposition for them.
I was gonna say, basically, the name says a lot. You know, people look at the name, but basically, most time, image says a whole lot more than you can explain in your words. If you got a good product, if your product is attractive, you know, I take my little grandson to the store a lot of evening. I pick him up. I say, "Cole, let's go to the store," and he never tastes a lot of candy, but the one that appealed to him is the package. that looks good. He said, "Granddad, I want this one because it got a good package. It looks good," and I think it's how you advertisement works. It works in those image work because you can see it, and so you don't need to worry. You can see how perfect it is, how it's designed. So it says a lot more. I can stand all day to explain to you about my lineup, but until you see it, you know, that's when you basically appreciate what you see. And matter of fact, I got a day off, but and to do what I want to do. I mean, I don't have no problem with it. I just go check my email, I check my meeting, I check, and after that, I don't browse, I don't do Facebook. I just get off it.
But you made a good point, is that in this discovery of what your customer values, then your packaging, your branding, and everything that you do draws that customer in.
It should speak louder than you. You know, your product should speak a lot louder than you when people see it, of how they dress. You know, I was at a pageant in Biloxi, and we were judges, you know, and I didn't look at their style, I look at their dress. You know, they you know, young folk can style, put their hand behind the back and do all kind of style, but I looked at how they dressed, and I looked at the material. And that's what my decision was based upon, that this was most unique, you know, and so it's a product, you put your product out there, people see it, then they say, well, you know, she explained that real well, but I see it now. I always like Nike, people depend on their reputation. They buy it because of the reputation, they buy it because of the perfection of it, and everybody's buying it, so it's very popular, so they have maintained our reputation in doing so.
So you would say that appearance is going to be a big driver in a buying decision in the customer's expectations. So you need to know what it is that they value appearance-wise, right?
That's exactly right.
So, what do we think of Dyson? Going back to these.
First of all,
Pretty straightforward.
It's a pretty clear
I mean, it's
ad,
pretty-
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
It gets rid of your dirt, because it's sucking up the Dyson stuff. It doesn't clog. That's the value you're going to get from their product. Yes, it's going to cost more. It's a very fancy looking picture. It's very sleek. And it will cost you, because it's a luxury item, but it will get the job done. So that's the
Lasts
value
longer
there.
too.
There you go.
So it solves a problem that they have researched very well, is what is it that their customer wants from a vacuum cleaner? And what do they not want? And then they've done a good job, not as good a job in performance sometimes as advertisement. That's another story.
We've already spoken about the Nike one, so what do you make of it? I don't even know if this ad was ever shown over here. Do you know what it's for?
I have no idea.
No idea. Glass and a half full, milk, into chocolate, Cadbury's. Maybe if it was colored, you'd see, because it's purple and grey. So the purple, she's wearing a little purple outfit, which is the Cadbury's color.
The what color?
Cadbury's chocolate.
Cadbury
You
chocolate.
know, the
Yeah.
Cadbury eggs.
So they promoting Cadbury?
They're promoting Cadbury's chocolate. Now the ad on the TV was this pair sitting there in a photographic studio and their eyebrows danced. Now, does this chocolate make your eyebrows dance? Might make somebody's eyebrows dance, but not
Eat
mine.
enough of it,
it's a
it
little
looks-
creepy, actually.
It's very creepy. They had
I
a
had no idea what they were selling.
I had no idea. I just see glass in my hand.
Yeah, I thought it was for milk or something.
originally Cadbury sold their product on the fact that it had a glass and a half of milk in every bar. So it was good for you because it had calcium in milk. So that was the advertising. And because it's a known brand back home now, they can do pretty much whatever they like as long as they've got the colour in there and the glass and a half full. We know they're talking about Cadbury's. But it doesn't really tell you what value you're going to get from the chocolate or anything. The simultaneous ad that they ran was a gorilla playing the drums. It was fun. It got a lot of YouTube hits, but does it sell chocolate? I don't know. Maybe it does. It's a strong image, so it puts it into the customer's mind. And you think, hey, remember that gorilla? Yeah, I remember. You know, people.
But that kind of obscurity, to me, says that you think that a customer's gonna spend more time thinking about it than most people do or have. Yeah.
Mhm. Did you get to the Supercuts ad?
It's too much to read. I mean, that's my first.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would have flipped right past it.
And it-
No, I'm not doing
I would have never gotten Supercuts, you know.
It looks like a gym ad, doesn't it?
Gym ad, yeah.
I mean, when you actually read the text, it tells you the value you're going to get.
Right.
But can you be bothered reading all that
that.
text?
No, not me.
I heard this, that if you're selling an ad, you want an eye catcher. If I'm picking up my newspaper in the morning time, and I usually read the newspaper 5:30, I'm flipping through it. It's got to catch my eye for me to stop and say, I want to see what this is about.
So
it's gotta be-
sometimes the simplest thing is the best thing. One word,
Mhm.
one image. Keep it simple, straightforward.
But this ad here, I wouldn't have known what was going on here, so y'all just kept flipping.
I only read it because, you know, I was looking for something interesting to put in the worksheet, so. Did anybody get to the next one? It's a website, obviously.
Seems generic to me.
Do you know what the value is in their product? Do you know what their product is?
No.
Consultant of some kind. But the picture and the way it's put together seems so generic to me that it just doesn't stand out. I would flip past it probably.
And I guess unless you went looking specifically for what they're selling,
Yeah.
it wouldn't really mean a whole lot to you.
Matt would probably
Yeah.
look at it
you
and
might-
say, okay, then he'll call me and say,
Yeah.
Jimmy, you need this.
Yeah, I'm probably the wrong target.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're right.
And the next one? Comments,
Is it
thoughts?
like iCloud?
Like they didn't, that's their ad or, yeah.
In order to see what they do, you have to push play and sit through 5 minutes of
Yeah, see, I
entertainment.
won't do
No.
that.
No, absolutely not.
And see, I don't know what marketing genius came up with all of these video type further advertisements. People aren't gonna do that. I mean, if they have nothing else to do, they might. But if you want somebody to know what you're selling, don't torture them.
Are we able to bring up the Doritos ad that I sent you the link to for them to see or not? No, okay, never mind. Did you all see the Doritos ad? Goat for sale?
Is
Yeah.
that the one that's on this?
It's on the next page. I
It
put
was
in.
one of those Super Bowl ads.
Yeah,
So they selling those.
I've put the link underneath so you can.
Hold on.
Oh, he's gonna try. It's funny because a lot of my friends at home in Scotland were watching the Super Bowl
Is
purely
this
to
the
see
goat?
the ads.
Yeah.
Is the guy holding a bag of chips to go?
He's approaching, he's seen this goat eating a bag of Doritos, and he's got a bag of Doritos, and he sees that the goat's for sale, and he thinks, hey, this is a great idea, I'm gonna get myself a goat.
But you have to buy a goat, get Doritos as a goat. I mean, nonsensical.
I mean, I don't know if he's thinking this is a companion for me, we've got shared interests, we're gonna eat Doritos all day together, I don't know,
Sitting on
but.
the sofa?
Sit on the sofa eating Doritos.
Well, I think
But
I feel like it's more cheap to feed because he
But it doesn't pan out too well in the end. So, if Matt can bring it up, that'd be great, so you can see the outcome.
Have you seen that there's a new advertisement, it's counter for Nike about, it's got Lance Armstrong, I can't remember the other two athletes, and they're talking about, yeah, just do it, look who you've got representing, you know, because Lance Armstrong's, and I wish I could remember the other two, but they've taken, someone else has taken a whole, they're starting to associate Nike with, look who you've got representing your product. It was real official look. I mean, it was a good ad. It actually got me to think for a little while. I was sitting there looking at it. Little counter.
I would like to know.
I mean, it does say something about your company if you're who you're willing to let represent and be your spokesperson. So.
But also, in the other side of it, I have no earthly idea what's in Miss Lucy's mind. I have no earthly idea what she would do.
Neither do I
So,
sometimes.
no, I'm just making a compare. You know, so I've had to hire a lot of people, and I've had to let them go. But you know, at first, the portrayal I got from them, they were good, a good person. You know, so you can't just judge them by what a bad deed somebody did.
I don't think Nike would have taken him on if they knew.
I'll give you for
There
instance.
were a lot of, there's been almost a decade of rumors about what he's
I had a
up to.
superintendent
Lance Armstrong.
at the
Oh.
CD Bates.
there.
Oh,
That's here we go.
It's not quite the effect without the sound, but
that's the goat.
That's his goat.
Yeah, so he bought the goat,
Oh,
and the goat's looking for Doritos and can't find any
Oh, how funny.
because he's got them all.
Oh, him and goat got a problem.
yeah.
It's great entertainment.
The goat's cute.
But how many of you have enough marketing dollars to be able to spend them on entertainment?
But getting back to the person, I had a project over at NASA over in Huntsville. I had a subcontractor that I hired on. He sat there at the table when they was going over all the safety rules. He said he had done many jobs at NASA, and the contracting officers said yes. No problem with following the rules. A week after we started the project, the contracting officer called me at 9 o'clock, says, Mr. Davidson, we have just shut your project down. I said, what? Your subcontractor is 26 stories high in the air with a 750-pound PSI pressure washer with no safety net, no harness, no nothing.
Wow.
I like it.
And this guy, 1 week earlier, had just sit down at the table, just like we are now, and went over every safety rule that NASA had.
How odd.
I panicked.
I would too.
He
So-
sold himself well.
So you know, so you can't really tell about, you know, sometimes you get a bad apple.
Well, and that makes a good point about your marketing, is your marketing and what you tell people you're gonna do better agree with what you actually do. Or you not only have wasted money, those people that are unhappy can be out telling a whole TV crew.
So I also have the Santa Fe ad on there because it was a good comparison with the Doritos. The Doritos, you're like, well, what am I going to get if I buy a goat? That was the message I got. Santa Fe, they were advertising you can fit an entire five-a-side football team into the Santa Fe. It is a family car, it is a luxury car, and it holds a lot of people. So there was a message with that. You know, it wasn't just a funny story, which it was a funny story, it's an entertaining story, but it showed the value to the customer. Okay, we looked at the Nike Find Your Greatness. Recognizable logos. We're all familiar with these. They are stuck in our heads because we've seen them so often. They're good quality products. And each logo represents the value of the product. Again, looking at Apple. It's sleek, it's shiny, it's pretty. You know, it's a quality logo. You know it's quality because it shines. And it's well crafted. There's no rough edges on it. It's smooth. Walmart. What do we think? It's plain, but it's bold, and it's big.
And it's no frills.
Yep.
And believe you me, that's exactly what they're trying to convey. Dull, yes, but
Now Coca-Cola, they've kind of stuck with their tradition. You know, it's a traditional product. It's a fun product. It's got lots of curls and swoops in it. It's an enjoyable product. It's red. Red apparently makes people hungry. Maybe it's blood associations, I don't know. But if you use red in your product, then you're going to sell more food. So bear that in mind.
millions of dollars are spent on research along those lines as to colors and what they convey to the public.
Now, if you turn over on the back of that page, what if Apple had used that logo? Would that have sold computers? Would that have sold you the image of the iPod and the iPhone? Probably not. Same with Google. That doesn't look like a search engine to me. That looks, I don't know, a greeting card company or something. I don't know. So that's something to bear in mind as well. It's the image that you portray. An image is quite often what your customers are looking for. How will this benefit me? Will it make me look better amongst my peers if I own this product? So the rest of your worksheet, the second half of your worksheet, is homework. It's to take what you've heard today and thought about today and return to your first questions, basically, and see what's changed. Put your
Because we don't want to look at just what you think. We want the solid research behind it. What is the industry standard for this? They've done lots and lots of research on a lot of things about your product. So we want to help you go back and take advantage of that so that you meet the expectations they've got solid facts for.
And then with that information, and with the help of your coaches, write your value proposition. It should be easy now. You know what your product is, you know who your customers are, once you've done your research, of course. And then you can write your value proposition. With that, you will be able to align your business with your customers. You will be able to connect with your customers. And you will be able to make your business tailor to those customers, tailor your business to those customers, and work out a management plan too, so that you can achieve your value proposition. So it's a really important, it's almost like bullet points that you can check off and see, am I working towards this goal? And your coaches will grade your value propositions, and the best one will win a prize. So there's some
How do
incentive.
we do this research? You know, are there websites that
Start to think through. The first thing with any research is to think through, what do I want to know? So then you start kind of saying, well, I would like to know how much of this is sold, where it's sold, so forth and so on. What, if you're trying to appeal to mothers, what do they listen to? What do they read? If you're trying to appeal to grandmothers, where do they get their information? And then we want to go into specifically how many of those people are they? What do they normally pay for the same types of products? And you're going to have better information for some and not so good for others. But then, who else is trying to get that dollar? So that in the end, how many dollars is it reasonable for me to think that I can get for my product. And then we're going to use that as helping you in our next session forecast. Do your cash flow projections. Look at potential sales versus potential cost.
We need to stop so we can change film.
And believe you me, I know, because I've got 2 granddaughters. And, you know, they'll want the whatever doll. Well, you'll find out about that at Thanksgiving. They'll already be sold out.
Yeah.
And they are not good about tracking delivery. I mean, there are a lot of things that make people unhappy, but they do a good job of selling their kids.
Yeah.
So, but there's a competitive advantage in that.
I think the money part's really tricky. Figuring
Yeah.
that for mine, I think people wonder about efficacy. If it's so cheap, it can't possibly work because of what we're into.
And that's where a little, just asking a few questions, getting a group together and having a focus group.
How
and
would you
saying,
make it cost prohibitive when so many of those hair regrowth are?
well,
But you do, it's a tricky little
Yeah,
thing
you
for us.
gotta be
People are always
careful.
asking me, why is it so cheap?
keep yourself out of the snake oil variation,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
very,
That's what Matt
Very,
calls it. When you're
very-
talking to me.
yeah, he probably doesn't brush his teeth either.
That's so funny.
You know. But that's the thing about it is he's got a point, is that the lion's share of products for that fall in the snake oil, and they
It's tricky.
don't perform. So you've got something you have to overcome,
Oh,
and you go back to the, you know, things you need versus things you want. But you talk to any group of people that's got 10 people in it, 6 of them are going to be concerned about hair loss. I found that out. Now, I know in my own family that I have 3 sons, and that's been the topic of conversation for years. But I thought that was peculiar to them. It's not. So, what was your point with the, that I gave you a hard time about when you were talking to Cindy about her product?
Oh, we go back and forth about Matt always referring to it as my snake oil, which I think is hilarious because I almost thought, God, maybe I should just call it that. But you know, because that's what, and I actually, it's taken me a while to believe that it actually works. It wasn't intended to do that. It was an accident. So I do, even when I see it and hear it, I'm always like, oh, great, you got hair, you know, because because I'm really trained to believe it has to come from a pharmaceutical company, just like all the rest of us are trained that.
And there's a midpoint in there, I think, that would be something to work with your product, is something between scam, snake oil, and Obagi that you've got to pay $1 gazillion for it to
Right.
work. But there is a place in there, I think, that given the right conversation about it.
I mean, Charles really, he said, has always wanted to keep it where it is because he thinks he's like, everyone deserves to have good hair. And although it sounds superficial, self-confidence is one of the things I think I sell. Because it's so much bigger than I ever imagined once I started really meeting people with like alopecia areata, you know, patchy baldness. I mean, it can be really pretty, it can shake a person's self-confidence to a degree where even their performance in their lives starting to suffer. But I only saw that with the patients, with a doctor that I work with who also carries it. And you realize, I mean, these are real, he said you just can't imagine the people that come in and they're just, in their whole lives, their self-confidence, everything.
Well, you think about whenever you watch anything about someone who's a cancer patient and they're undergoing chemotherapy, getting well, of course,
Right.
but what do you hear almost as much about when you start hearing
Lost
about,
their
I'm
hair.
going to lose my hair? Robin Roberts
Right, exactly, yeah.
shaved her head before she lost her hair. That was almost the next worst thing.
That's Dr. Turner Startle. She gives it to her cancer patients because she said, you know, they're already going through so much, and for them to retain any of it, and then for what's coming back in to still look good,
And
she said it's huge for their self-confidence. Yeah. So I know that's one of my values. I think it's self-confidence. I didn't think that in the beginning, but I do now.
Questions? Can you leave here now and go alter what you wrote before?
Do you think it's changed any?
I think mine's close to what I started with.
Can you validate
I'm not sure.
what you've got? And I think a lot
Yeah, I
of
could
with
say
you
more.
is to get into a customer's mind very quickly is how do you feel when? Because this is a big feelings issue.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely some stuff I can change.
To some extent, we may have to create our, customer, Like I feel like in children's products right now, there's not a lot of wholesome looking dolls and things like that out there. They're the monsters and the brats and those kinds of things. So just offering that alternative, I think that's where I need to, I really need to highlight that aspect of it and create a new market. I mean, just if there are other moms out there that want to do something different,
Yeah, and you're right, there is a gap in the marketplace now.
There's a huge gap right there.
For
When I go to find
children's.
something for my child, I can't find it. And I'm like, well, if there's nobody doing it,
Yeah.
either everybody doesn't want it, which is my greatest fear, it's going to be swinging the market back that way.
I think it's a great idea.
Now, we're going to be talking here about a totally new product. And those, in often instances, you have to educate the public. That's a harder marketing because they're not accustomed to using that product or maybe even anything quite as similar. So that takes a little more effort into educating the public that they need it.
I think so too. Sometimes it's more easier sometimes to sell people than to sell your product. To sell them on your product to make sure that they know that there's a great need or a greater need. And sometimes people don't know really what they need. I go to the store with my wife, and when I go to Walmart, I go and get what I want, I'm out of there. But she's there hours looking and I don't know what you're looking for. I don't think you know what you're looking for. But the greater good, is to make
You'll never get beyond that.
to make people
Just market.
We like to
both
browse.
ways.
right, to make people aware of the need, and people sometimes have to see a need. We go buy coffee, drink coffee just because we do it, but we don't feel like that's a need, but there are necessities that we certainly need, and that's what I feel, that people are gonna buy what they need, doesn't matter how the price is. But it's better when your price is competitive in the community with your consumers. They see a price there, and like you were saying earlier, sometimes your price can be so cheap until people don't trust it.
Right. Yeah.
You lost
Exactly.
the club. You go out there and buy something. I look at a generic something. If it's cheap, I always tell my wife, I don't want generic medicine. I want the real thing. I feel like generic don't work, and so because it's cheaper, and so people look at the same thing and they see something that real cheap. They say it must not be no good because this so cheap, And so sometimes you sell yourself out, and you don't really help yourself. I had a lady from Mississippi State came to where I work at the tax assessor office, Greg Andrews, and she said, she said, I remember from Mississippi State. She said, I love your liner. She said, what would you sell it for? You know, and I said, well, maybe the manufacturer costs $1.18, maybe $3. She said, no, $5. I would pay $5. And sometimes it's good to listen to those people because they know the value of what they want. If you want
That's
something,
why focus groups, I think, are so good, is you get a group of people in that you think would be your possible customers, and then you ask questions, and that is a validated method for knowing who your customer is. And the thing to think about, whenever you get ready to sell or market something, you want to know what the pain is. In this case, the pain that you are providing an answer for is toys that are wholesome, that parents feel good about. That's a pain. In my case, with the American Girl dolls, my pain is, please have a quantity that I don't have to disappoint my grandchild. So, okay. Well, you know where we are. You know where your coaches are. We'd love to have feedback, and thank y'all for taking the time and demonstrating the interest in your business.
Thank you.